They wrote to the Mishnah on Sadik Zayin Amid Beis. Sadik Zayin Amid Beis. Hamoicha Yayin lechaveroi v'hichmitz. Person sells wine to his friend, and it goes bad. He's not chayiv b'achar yusay. Now, if this sounds familiar, it should, but we had a different gear, so we had a whole different sugya, whether it was in 3 days, right? We had so if you go back to Tosfos on Tzadik Vav. Okay. The Tosfos on Tzadik Vav Amid Beis. Right? So this Tosfos is the Tosfos that says the first 3 days it's the Meiches problem. After 3 days, it's Leikeach's problem. So this Mishnah just makes no difference between 3 days and not 3 days, right? Guys, so what's the chilik between the two? So look at on Sadik Vav Amid Beis, the Tosfos, 3 lines down, the last words on the line. The top Tosfos on Sadik Vav Amid Beis. It's in the middle of a Tosfos. That's why you don't have a Dibra Masfal. So 3 lines down, V'hadit nan. V'hadit nan l'kamon daf Sadik Zayin Amid Beis, Hamoicha Yayin l'chaveiro v'hichmitz, Mayri la'acha gimel. It's speaking after 3, right? Inami b'kankanim deloikeach, or it's speaking about the barrel deloikeach. Kereb Yosi bar Chanina delkamon came perish akuntris. In other words, if you go ahead, you go bisman hazeh, you go to the store, you don't bring a bottle and ask the guy to fill it up, right? You buy the bottle, you get the bottle of wine. In those days, you'd have to bring your kankan. So there's a difference between whether it remained in the kankan of the meicher or your barrel. So what happened was, our Mishnah was speaking about it remained in the barrel of the meicher, and therefore that not our Mishnah now, that Mishnah before, and it was in the barrel of the meicher, so therefore it's within 3 days. And our Mishnah is speaking about the barrel of the keach. So you came to the store, you pour it in, and sure enough, you bought it. So now it's okay. Let's see Rashman by us. At the time of Mechira was Yayin, and now it's in the barrel of Lekech. The Gemara will discuss it more at length. V'im Yedua sheyayin machmitz, and if it's known that this person you buy, right, that his wine tends to go bad, v'im Yedua, if it's known sheyayin machmitz, harizeh mekach tois, then it's the mekach tois. Says Rashbam. Every year, this guy's wine goes bad. He told him, I need this for cooking. If you need it for cooking, you need it to last throughout the year because you're going to use it subislach. You're going to use it piecemeal. If you don't say lemikba, why should you be chayiv? He could have drank it right away. And he shouldn't have kept it around. In other words, it went bad, so why should I be chayiv b'achrayis to make it up? Why should I be chayiv b'achrayis to make it up? You should have drank it right away. Good. If most people they buy wine for leaving it around, if you don't go after Roiv, because most people, some people use it for drinking, and some people use it for keeping it around. So there's no Roiv over here. Okay.
Before, like if it's a meicher, if he sells at retail, then you can't expect it to last long. And if he's a wholesaler, then it lasts much longer. That's the criteria.
No. It seems it goes after the wine. It goes after the wine. We had a sugya about sirtan again, who's chayiv b'achrayis. We had wholesalers.
Right.
He's a shliach. Yeah, but that's nothing to do with going bad. There's nothing to do with keeping it. The question is who is the person who owns it? If it's a middleman, and maybe he doesn't own it, he's just a shliach, so he's not going to buy it. So then you do a shiyene machmitz. Then how is it mekach tois? And again, it's speaking guys. Even if it goes bad during the year, you should have drank it, right? So it must be speaking where you knew that the guy stated it's lemikba, it's for cooking purposes. If you say yayim mevusim, it's going to be flavorful wine, right? that it's gonna stay a while, then ani meichel chayv lahamid loy arat seres. It has to be able to last until Shavuos. But after Shavuos, it gets hot. They can't expect that. After Shavuos, it gets hot and doesn't last longer than that. Right? I guess so. I don't know. It just takes place before Shavuos. Now, V'yashan, if he says, I'm going to sell you old wine, then Mishtalish Takid. Then I think that it has to last the previous year and that year. Rashbam says, V'yashan v'moichel yayin yashan yitin loy Mishtalish Takid shana amukdemis. The year before, Luzu, shana amedis, but to the year you're in, umiyushan. So the difference in yashan is old wine, miyushan is aged wine. That's the difference in the art school taich. So I guess miyushan means it stays a while. So that Mishal Gimel Shonim, then it has to what, right? It has to be what the 2 years before the year you're in. Total of what 3 years. Now, Rabbi Yosef Chinil, we're going to go ahead and qualify this din that if you sell wine, you're not chayav machrayas. Okay, we're going to go ahead and qualify this din if you sell wine that the moich is not chayav machrayas, and we're learning for Refuah Shlema for Sarah Bas Chaya. Sarah Bas Chaya Refuah Shlema L'Korav. Rabbi Yosef Chinina lo shanu that the moich is not chayav machrayas ela b'kan kanim b'lo keach, where he came, showed up, and he put it in the kankan of the lekeach. So once he put it in the kankan of the lekeach, right, it goes bad. You know what he can taina? It's your barrel that caused me to go bad. My wine was fine. When it's my barrel, is no problem. You come along with your kankan, I pour it in yours. Now it's no good. Guess what? It's your problem. You caused it. So therefore, that's our kankan of the meicher. But if it's in the kankan of the meicher, amalei the lekeach can say to the meicher, right? In other words, that here it is. It's you caused it. It's bad wine, and it's in your kankan. So therefore, in that case, you would be chayev b'achrayis. In that case, you would what the meichel would be chayev b'achrayis, and he gives it back to him. Your kankan caused it, and he gave it back to him. That's what Rabbi Yosef Chanina says. Good. Says the Gemara, if it's in the kankan of the meicher, why does he have to give back the money to lekeach? Let the meicher tell the lekeach. You shouldn't have kept it around. So you go to a guy, you go to a meicher yayin, you buy wine, and he gives you the wine in his barrel. It goes bad. Says Reb Yossi, Reb Chanina, you return the wine in the barrel, and you say, here's your wine, here's your barrel. It's your wine, your barrel that caused it to go bad. I want my money back. Says Reb Yossi, Reb Chanina, yes, that's fine. You get your money back. Now, there's another thing. Read the Gemara. Why does he get his money back? He can ostensibly it did not take place. It took place later on down the line. So why didn't the Meicher say to the Lekeach, you should have drank it. It's bad now. You should have drank it. You have people. I know so few people collect wine, and wine goes bad. It's bad. You could have an old bottle of wine. It happens to people who don't know anything about wine. They get a good bottle on Purim, and then you show up at their house and they say, "Yo, I heard you like wine," and they break it out, and it's awful. Why? Because it was kept in the kitchen with the heat.
Where does it belong?
What? It belongs in a cool, dark place. Cool, dark place. That's what you want to keep wine. It has to be in a cool, dark place. That's good. Well, no, yeah, wine fridge is
Wine cellar.
yeah, the wine cellars, but no, you could get
After it's open, before it's
what? No, before it's open. Once it's open, let's forget about it.
Short shelf life, so.
Wine is wine is a living organism. Okay, but again, this is not. We're going to get off on a tangent, right?
Should we get a bottle?
No, Lenny's going. This is getting interesting. He's taking notes in a blog. Anyway,
If you want to show and tell,
listen. Any guy who want to come to my house anytime, I'm good. I'm good. I have good bottles, and I like to share them. Anyway, so he could tell him the following: it's you kept it. It's true. It's in my barrel, and it's bad. But you should have drank it. What's the answer? He told him Linikpa. He told him no. So therefore he told him the Amalei. He said to him, "Lemikpa." I went ahead and I want it for cooking. Now, if you want it for cooking, you only use a little bit at a time, and that's the list. So going back to the Mishnah, guys, let's go back to the Mishnah. 6 is shot in the Mishnah. This is shot of Yosef Reb Chanina's shot in the Mishnah. If someone sells yayin to his friends, right, the hichmitz, and it goes bad, he's not chayiv to make it up. Why? Because it's speaking where he put it in the barrel of lekeach, and therefore the meicher can tell the barrel, the lekeach, your barrel caused it to go bad. But if it was still in his barrel, then he can return it. Afraid the Gemara, why can he return it? You shouldn't have kept it around, because it said sign is not limikba. It's speaking where he went ahead and said, I need it for what? For cooking. So I need it for cooking. Okay, that's Rabbi Yosef Chanina. Amarava. No. Umay duchke the Rabbi Yosef Chanina lo ukmi lemasnisam bid kankanim deloikeach udamalei lemikba. Why did he say it's speaking about the barrel of leikeach? And he said that what that you shouldn't it was for cooking. Look me b'kankan de moicher u'delay amalei lemikba, and he didn't say lemikba. In other words, guys, if it was the barrel of the moicher, guys, look at me. If it was the barrel of the moicher, he sold it to him, and he didn't say the leikeach didn't say I need it for cooking. The moicher also would be chayav b'achrayas, because he can tell him you shouldn't have kept it around. In other words, where Rabbi Yosef Chanina learned pshat in our Mishnah that the moicher doesn't have to make it up is because it's in the lekeich's barrel, and what? And it's lemikpa. It's in the lekeich's barrel. I have another way of learning pshat. It's in the moicher's barrel. You didn't say lemikpa, and the moicher's not chayav b'achrayas because he can taina. You shouldn't have kept it around. What forced Rabbi Yosef Chanina to go ahead and take it? You know, it's more svaridic to say it's still in the barrel of the moicher than in the barrel of the lekeach. So what forced him to go ahead and move off that? That's what the Gemara wants to know. Why? In other words, all I have to do is fit in a pshat that the moicher is not chayiv to make it up. So I got two pshatim. One, it's in the lekeich's barrel and he said lemikba, or it's the moicher's barrel and he didn't say lemikba. Why did he opt for the lekeich barrel and lemikba? So Amar Rava says, Rava, Masnisan Kashisa. The Mishnah is shver. Diktani, because he learned, Im Yadua Sheyene Machmitz. If it's known that this guy's yayin goes bad, Arizemekach twice. Amai, why is it mekach twice? You shouldn't have kept it around. Ela must be la shmamina damle lemikba shmamina. And since what? The safe is speaking lemikba, he's estain the ratio also lemikba. So now let's go back to the Mishnah, guys. Go back to the Mishnah. Someone sells a barrel of wine to his friend, to his right, and he pours it in the friend's barrel, and it goes bad. Because he can tell him what? He could tell him that what? That he could tell him that your thing caused it to go bad. Good. Now, why can he tie that what? Why can he? So lemikba and now why can he tie? He kept it in his barrel and he shouldn't have kept it around because it's speaking where lemikba. The guy added it's lemikba. He said what? It's lemikba. So in other words, since it's lemikba, the moicher can't tie it. You shouldn't have kept it around. Good. Fred the Gemara, why did you that's the ein lemikba? You could have said it's speaking of case of the moicher shaloi lemikba because of the next case. Then yadua sheyene machmitz, and if it's known that this guy's wine goes bad, how is it mekach tois? It's a mekach tois. Now, Fred the Gemara, why is it mekach tois? You shouldn't have kept it around. If you know the guy's wine goes bad, you shouldn't have kept it around. And the answer is what? Because he said it's lemikba, and lemikba is what? You have to keep it around because you're using it piecemeal. So Mamela, when the second clause is speaking that it was added lemikba, who in the first clause was also speaking lemikba. That's the Gemara. Very good. Now that's the shita of Rabbi Yosef Reb Chanina. It's speaking about the kliya of the lekeach and lemikba. Upligi de Rav Chia Rabbi Yosef, And Rabbi Yossi, and this shita of Rabbi Yossi, Reb Chanina, who says it's speaking about the kli of leikeach and the mikvah, argues on Reb Chia Reb Yosef. The Amar Reb Chia Reb Yosef, Chamra Masla Demare Garim. It's speaking in the kli of the meicher, and he sold it to the leikeach. Who owns it? Who owns it? Good. No machlokes. Leikeach owns it. Good. Now, why? You know why it goes bad? Your tough luck. It's your mazel that caused it. Your bad mazel. That's it. No ifs, ands, and buts. No limit, but nothing. It's in my kli, and I sold it to you. When it was in my kli, it was fine. You're the baal now. It went bad. It's your mazel that caused it. Now, where do we see that? Where do we see that wine's mazel is caused by what? By the owner that it goes after his mazel. Says the Gemara. Shenemar v'af ki hayayin boiged geve yoher. Even when the wine rebels, it rebels against the bal yoher, a person who's a bal gaiva, gever, a person yoher who is a bal gaiva, so his yayin rebels against him. So Mamela says, Reb Chia, Reb Yosef, you know why the Moichet doesn't have to make it up? Because it was the mazel of the lekeach that caused it to go bad. Good. So we have two pshatim, guys. We have Reb Yosef, Reb Chanina. It's speaking about the kli of lekeach. We said the mikvah. We have Chia, Reb Yosef. Names are important. Reb Chia, Reb Yosef. He says it's speaking where it's the kli of the meicher. The reason it's bad is because why? It's because you're bad mazel. Now just.
No mazel.
A mazel Yisrael, that's the person. That doesn't mean you don't have mazel. It means you're not limited to your mazel. It doesn't mean you don't have mazel. It means you're not limited to your mazel. But it's not talking about your wine. It's talking about you. It's talking about you. Now, Amar Rav Mari, Hai man diyor afilu insha beisel mikabel. A person that's a balgaiva, even his wife will not go ahead and show him any respect. Shenemar geve yohir v'lo yinveh. My v'lo yinveh. His Banu Shaloi. It's speaking about what? His home. Speaking about his home, his wife. So his own house won't endure. His own house, La Yinve means house won't endure, meaning in this case his wife. She won't endure him. She won't deal with the Valgaiva. Amr Yud Amarav. Anyone is a Balgaiva and he puts on the talis of a Talmid Chacham. We saw the Gemara that they used to wear long. The Talmidei Chachamim, they would cover make sure you wouldn't see their tunic, right? They would wear long. We saw that Gemara, and this person is not a Talmid Chacham. He would dress like Talmid Chacham. So therefore, he won't be allowed in the mechitza of Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Lachal Me'ev Mishana, he won't be allowed in the midah in Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Right? We said midah keneged midah. I think the Rashbam says midah keneged midah. If I can find the Rashbam. Just like he's mizgah and with his lavush in a place where he's not ready to be by dressing a certain way, so too he won't be machtis to the place of Kodesh Baruch Hu, which is not a place that's his. Okay, ksiv hachav la yinveh, ksiv hasam el nevei kodshecha. So therefore, you won't be nevei kodshecha, speaking about the mechitza of Kodesh Baruch Hu. Amar Rava, says Rava, Hayman de zom lechavitu de chamrei lechanva. A person, he gives his wine to a barrel of wine to the chenvani to sell. Adaita l'sabuye, that the chenvani would sell it. The chenvani would sell it, a little bit at a time. The sabuye is going to sell it. V'takif. Okay, so now the Rashbam says that he has a din of a shliach, guys. A long Rashbam over here. The first word, count down when it gets wide. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 lines down. Or 11 lines down, the Cham lechenvani, Ma'aseh Chavi Shaloi lechenvani. He gives his barrel of wine to the chenvani, Kidei limcher es hayayim bechinusai, to sell in the store. V'yishtaka chenvani katsas, to make a little bit of dough. U'bal abayis lo yikabel mi'oisav, elo la'acha she'yikibel chenvani min aloichem. So the deal is, after he gets all the money, he'll give it to him. V'chamer b'shusei demarikai, and therefore the wine still stays in the b'shus of the owner. Ve'enech money ella shliach ba'alma, litel schar tirchay. And the chenvani is considered a shliach. And what's he selling it for? He's getting rewarded for that tircha. So he has a din of, this is Rashbam Shita. Hilkachim hichmitz apalgo atilsa dedana, by halfway down, a third way down the barrel goes bad. Is what? It's the loss of the owner. Again, the chenvani does not own it. It's the loss of the owner. It's the loss of the owner because the chenvani was only a shliach and it went bad. What? In his rishus. Dinahu de mekabel lamine. The chenvani can return it, and he has to accept it from the chenvani. The loy amanon that the bal chavis loses ella the loy shani bebarza, that the chenvani did not go ahead and change the place of the spigot. Aval shani bebarza, if he changed the place of the spigot, then we'll say that he caused it to go bad. In other words, he was mazakit. Okay, and also v'loy amaron ella the loy mata yuma de shuka, that if the day of the shuk didn't pass, aval mata yuma de shuka. And the chenvani could have sold the wine and he didn't, and then it went bad. Then the chenvani would be responsible. In other words, we're giving an addendum, two things to before you go ahead and say that the guy took a loss. It has to be that the chenvani did not do anything different with the barrel that we can blame it on the chenvani, such as changing the spigot. Who did something else? Any change? Or in the Yom HaShuk, that what they should have sold it and not delayed and let it become vinegar. In addition, said Rava, "Hi man, the kabel chamra daite, the mematele liparvasa devol shvak." He goes ahead and he's makabel. This is an iska, guys. It's an iska, right? They made a deal. He's gonna give him for tircha. He's gonna pay him, and he's gonna sell the wine. He's gonna bring the wine to the port of Deval Shvak. In this place, Deval Shvak, the wine went for a good price. However, by the Mati Hassam, but before he got there, Zol went down in price. Do you know who the makabel? The makabel, he takes the loss. Right, the owner of the wine, he takes the loss. What happens if it on the way to the shvat, the shvat, it turns into vinegar? What's the din? Is the bal yayim mafsid, or they divide the hefsid? Samle Rav Hillel Rav Ashi ki avina beim reis in the base medrash Rav Kahana amalon chala. If it goes bad, loy. And then he doesn't have to be makabel the whole hefsid. They can divide it up. With the loy Rav Yosef Chanina. And not like Rabbi Yossi B'Chanina, because like Rabbi Yossi B'Chanina, right? What did he say? Once it's in the barrel, and he can return it to him. Again, as long as you didn't say it's lamikpa, guys. If it's in the barrel, he said you can return it to him. That was Rabbi Yossi B'Chanina. He was the first opinion. Rabbi Yossi B'Chanina guy said, "But the moicha, the wine's in the barrel. The lekeach can give it back to him and say, here's your wine, here's your barrel." So this is not Rav Kahana's din that they have to divide, guys. He's selling in his barrel. He's selling it to a port. It goes bad in the barrel. Says Rav Kahana, you have to divide it. Rabbi Yosef B'Chanina was the opinion. As long as it remained in the Meich's barrel, he could say, "Here's your the like kayach." In this case, this the guy who's being oisik in the isra. Here's your barrel and here's your wine. That's it. So it's not like Rabbi Yosef B'Chanina. Bikkur the army afilu cholanami, even cholanami makabel that the balayayin, owner of the wine, also has to take the loss. Kiman, Rabbi Yosef B'Chanina. This would be Rabbi Yosef B'Chanina, right? Here's that the one who was makabel the iska can go ahead and give it back to him and said, "Here's your barrel and here's your wine." Says the Mishnah said Yashan. If it's Yashan, then he gives him yayin mishtalaket from a year old wine, right? He gives him what wine that's a year old, right? Says the Gemara, right? Ta'ana, we learned, umiyashein v'hoylech arachag, and as long as it doesn't go vinegary up to the chag, he's responsible. Once it hits Shavuos, then the chag is Sukkos, then he will not be responsible, right? Says the Rashbam Tana. Hechidom le miyushin, where he says miyushin, not yashan, he says miyushin, aged wine. It's got to be for 3 years. Shleimus. Ushiyaskayim v'yitzchein ad gemar shana shlishis zu dahainu arachag. That means until Sukkos. Ad abotzer, until the harvest. Shezuhi toiras miyushan l'skayim sholish shanim shleimus. V'myachmitz koydem achag arhu b'achriyusa shal moicher. If it goes bad, then it's nachrayus of the moicher. So that's the 3 years and going till the chag. Says the Mishnah. You're selling a place. You makabel a place. What's for the purpose? Last is loy, bias chasnus libinoi. Now, it used to be when they would get married, they would build adjacent to the house. They'd build a place for a kid to live. It was a lot easier then. It wasn't so expensive. And they would go ahead. They would build. So the father-in-law, the son would live with his parents. Guys, the son would live with his parents. The son cannot live with her parents. Yeah, the Gemara in Pesachim said Yechayshid, mother-in-law with the first son-in-law. That's right. It's like that. He's Yechayshid for his nus, and or she's going to go ahead and take her husband's money and spend a lot of money on him. So as I state in Gemara. So therefore, you don't go ahead, even though usually they go to the girl's side. In those days, they went to the boy's side, and the Gemara says over here. So it says, so you moicher a place for your son's wedding or your daughter's wedding, almanis lebitai, or a base almanis lebitai. Now she was living with her father-in-law's house, and now what? She's an almana, so now she's returning to her parents. Again, she can't be near her parents again because that would be the problem of her husband being around the parents. So therefore, in those cases, what do you go ahead and what's the size of the house? Boina arba amis al sheish, 6 amis by 4, 4 by 6. Divrei Rabbi Akiva. These are words of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Shmuel Omer, refit bucket hisu. That's a corral. 4 by 6 is a corral. In other words, Rabbi, we're going to see is this Rabbi Akiva's words or Rabbi Shmuel's words? We'll see in the Gemara. I write Salasis refit bucket boina dal amis al sheish. Okay. Bias cotton, a small house, is sheish al ches, 6 by 8. Gadol, a large house, is ches al esa, is 8 by 10. Traklin is a bit of a nicer place. Is Yud al Yud is 10 by 10. Roimai kechatzi archai ukechatzi rachbai. The height is half the length and half the width. So, for example, if it's 10 by 10, then it's going to be 5, it's going to be 10. If it's 4 by 8, it's going to be 3, 4, it's going to be 7. If it right, that's 4 by 8. No, it's 2. 2, it's going to be 6. So, it's always so half. Says the Gemara and concludes Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel Omer kibinyan ha'hechel. The hechel was what? It was 40 by 20. It's 40 by 20. So the height was look at the Rashbam says. Roimei kechatzi archai akula koi v'hainu beis chasna shiu archai dalit alvav. It goes through that kibinyan ha'hechel. Ha'hechel al panei hadvir haya archai mem berach by esrim. So half of mem is 20, half of esrim is 10, so that it was 30 high. But roy shleishim, and this height was 30. Okay, let's see. It's a cryptic mishnah a little bit. It says more misli beis chasnus lebenoi ubeis almonus lebitai lisni beis chasnus lebenoi lebitai ubeis almonus lebenoi ulebitai. Says by not telling us that you're building a base chasnus for your daughter, you're telling us a chiddush because you don't want your son-in-law around your wife. Kamash v'loin darcha de chasna lemeidar bechamua. It's not the way of a chasen to live what by his mother-in-law. It's not the way of a chasen to live what by his mother-in-law. That's the so therefore we didn't learn that you base chasnus by what? By a daughter, only by a son. Labrius. Kidduchsev, the Sefer Ben Sira. We had the Sefer Ben Sira before. It was the writer at the time of the. Someone said it was Chavakuk. Who? I don't know. No, Chavakuk was the kid who was brought back to life. Was it Yirmiyahu? Who was Ben Sira? There's a shot that it was son of somebody. I'm not recalling. Okay. Anyway, he had some stuff that.
The daughter that got impregnated from
Mary Magdalene.
I don't remember who it was. I think it's that kid.
Yeah, I know it was a weird, right?
Weird thing.
Weird thing, not a nice thing, right? Yeah, yeah. Well, but who was it? You know,
It was like the, it was in the bathtub or something when it's
Ambati?
Nambati, I don't remember this,
Yeah, I bought in a tshuva, right? I bought in a tshuva from the Noida Yehuda, right? And Chavakuk was not Chavakuk. Ben Sira was supposedly the Zera got into the water and impregnated her. Okay, anyway, here and there. So now she said a few things. B'kaf maznayim v'loy matzasi, because I put things on a scale. I didn't find anything kal lighter misubin. Bran, the kal misubin, and you know what even is worse than bran? It's chasen ador beveis chama. This is what I mean. The chasen that goes ahead, right? The chas v'shalom that can come to a kilkel. The kal, smei chasen, worse than a chasen is a reyach hamachnes a reyach. You invite a guest over, and guess what? He brings another guest. Right? No one likes that. The kal me'areach is meshiv dava b'terem yishma. You answer before what? Before you hear. Shenemar meshiv dava b'terem yishma. Someone who answers the question before he hears. Ivelis hiloi uchlima. He's a fool. Shmuel I met Refit bucket hisu. I write Salasis Refit bucket. Guys, look at the Mishnah. Mishnah is very funny. So Rabbi Kiva says it's 4 by 6. Says Rabbi Shmuel, Refit Baka, Hiusu, and then he says someone who wants to make a Refit Baka should make it 4 by 6. That seems to be redundant. What exactly is? It's very mudden, very strange. So it says Refit Baka in Mankatanila. Who said it's a Refit Baka? So Ikadi Amri Rabbi Shmuel Katanila. Some say Rabbi Shmuel said it. Ikadi Amri Rabbi Kiva Katanila. Others say Rabbi Kiva said it. Okay, Ikadi Amri Rabbi Kiva Katanila. Rabbi Kiva said it. Here's the way you read the Mishnah. The size of a base chasnus almanus is 4 by 6. The afal pisha refit bakahu, even though that's the same size as a refit baka, sometimes a person makes his deer like a refit baka. So in other words, it's not Rabbi Yishmael informing Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva stated that. The Igadiami, Rabbi Yishmael Katani law. He said he makes it 4 by 6. Comes Rabbi Yishmael Kamar. And this is what he says. How can you tell me that a base chasnus and almonis is 4 by 6 if that's a refit baka? So refit lasses baka loisa arba amis al sheish. So according to the second lashon, Rabbi Akiva's refit baka is less. If Rabbi Akiva's baka is 4 by 6 for the house, then it must be his refit baka is less than that. That's nafkamina. In the first lashon, Rabbi Akiva's might the refit baka is 4 by 6. In the second lashon, no, a house is 4 by 6, but a refit baka is less than that. That's nafkamina between the two lashonos. Traklin is Eser al Eser. My traklin, what's a traklin? Is Kufsa. It's a house with a lot of windows. Beivardi, that has, I guess, like roses in it. And there the sarim would lie around. Tani in a brisa, the kantar, a person who says to his friends, I want to acquire a place that's a kantar, is still Shem Esrei, Shem Esrei, it's 12 by 12. My kantar, what exactly is the kantar? It's tarvis apadne, it's a chatzah by a mansion. Roimoi, kechatzi orka, kechatzi rachboi. Its height is the half of the width and half of the length. Raya ledava, Reb Shimon Gamliel loima, kibinyan hechel. Says the Gemara, Raya ledava man ketani lo. Who learned when it said Raya ledava in the Mishnah? Who said that? Ikad yami Reb Shimon Gamliel ketani lo. It's Reb Shimon Gamliel who said it. Okay, right? And v'achi kamar. Raya ledava minayin. How do you have a raya that what? That the height is chatzi arach v'chatzi rachav. Reb Shimon Gamliel hakol kibinyan hechel. So the hechel what was 40 by 20, right? So 40 by 20 is 30, right? Tanakama is the one who said that what for Raya Ledava, and he didn't mention the hechel. Reb Shimon Gamliel jumped in Vatmuye kamatama. V'achi kamalei the Tanakama Raya mi binyan hechel atu kuli alma kibinyan hechel avdei. In other words, according to the first lashon, it's a Raya. According to the second lashon, Reb Shimon Gamliel's timing, just because the hechel was the half doesn't mean every other thing is going to be half. Tanya acher moimim roimoi, the height of the house is kakeiroisov, is like the top beams of the house. Now the assumption is the top beams of the house are the width of the house. The assumption is again, think about it, the beams of the house is the width of the house. So v'leima, why doesn't he say roimoi kerachboi? Not chatzi roichboi, but the height equals the width. So Ema Besa me'iloi ravach. Let's say it's a house that progressively got higher. It starts at the bottom and it progressively got higher. So therefore, what? They're bigger than the width of the house. The house, if you take the width at the bottom of the house, it's less. So it's not. In other words, you're picturing the house as a rectangle. So a rectangle. It could be this like more like a triangle, an inverted triangle. In other words, the bottom is shorter and it spreads out. So therefore, the width of the house throughout is not the same. Or Ibay is saying, another teretz mishum dikebe kave. When you have guys, with the width of the house is this, but they would have places where let's say the house is over here, but they would have ledges in the house where the logs of the beams would intersect through that they would rest upon. So they're a little bigger than the width of the house. Thank you everyone for listening. Okay, please have in mind Sarah Baschaya, everybody, for